Hi everyone, and welcome to At Mom's Pat. Excuse me, what? Excuse me, what? My God, Mom! This is impossible. Jesus Christ. You're in the background burping, baby. Jeez. Oh, sugar. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Producing. Oh, who thought this was a good idea? Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of At Mom's Table. I am Casey Torgerson, and I am your host today, and I am so excited that you have pulled up a seat. Before we get started, I did want to warn you there is some background noise. My daughter and my dad are singing in the living room. My mom is kind of shuffling around. You might hear some dog barks. And it's all part of the podcast because, as you may notice, I am filming from my mom and dad's dining room table. And this is the same table that has seen burnt dinners and knockdown, drag out arguments and belly laughs. And that's what I want this podcast to feel like. I want this podcast to be a spot at a table with family and friends where you can feel comfortable and you can hear people talk about real life. A lot of real life has happened at this table and continues to happen, and I can't wait to share that with you. In the future, I'm going to be having lots of different guests on, and we're going to be talking about everything ranging from motherhood to owning a new business to how it feels to be going into the third grade. So I hope that you will tune in and subscribe. But this week, I did want to just kind of pull back the veil on my own life and introduce you to myself and tell you why this podcast means so much to me. So I am a wife, a daughter, a new mom, a aunt, an educator. I've always really loved storytelling and humor, and I've had the idea to start a podcast for years and years, and when I had my daughter, I thought to myself, I hope that she has the bravery to start new things, and so I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing this for her. You know when you buy a piece of jewelry and it actually feels like someone made it with a soul, not just a barcode? That's what it's like shopping from Coordinating Chaos. Sarah runs this small jewelry business where every piece is either custom, one of a kind, or made with way more love than anything you'll find on a spinning rack at the mall, if you remember what a mall is. Some of my favorites, the earrings she made with her daughter. Yeah, not only are they adorable, they're handmade, meaningful, and frankly, make me question what I'm doing with my own spare time. She also launched a back-to-school collection last year, and honestly, it still slaps, especially these pencil studs. Oh, yeah. They're the perfect gift for the teachers in your life, or honestly, anyone who just really loves office supplies and compliments. The pieces are unique, the packaging is precious, and if you ever wanted to wear something that starts a conversation without screaming for attention, this is it. Support small business, support women who make cool stuff, support Coordinating Chaos. You can find her on Instagram at coordinatingchaos.slj. That's at coordinatingchaos.slj. And tell Sarah I sent you. She won't give you a discount, but it'll make me look cool. I was born and raised in upstate New York, sat around this very dining room table for most of my life. I have 3 older siblings, and they all have children. I have lots of nieces and nephews. My mom and dad just celebrated their 42nd wedding anniversary. Went to high school in my hometown that I now teach at. Of course, graduated high school anyone from a small town, I think, can relate to graduating high school and saying, peace out, never coming back here, bye. So jetted out to the great old state of Pennsylvania, did 4 years of my undergraduate degree at a college called Grove City College, and not 4 consecutive years, just so we're all on the same page. I did 3 years, took a little gap year to black out, go to therapy, all the things that a 21-year-old does. And then I went back to finish my final year. I graduated Grove City College with a whopping 2.26 GPA. And when I graduated, I promised myself 2 things, and that was I was never going back to school and I was never going to become a teacher. Within the next year after my undergraduate degree, I did both of those things. I went back to get my master's degree in elementary education. After I graduated from that program, after a year, I came back to my home district, the district I went to, and I taught 5th grade for 3 years and 6th grade for 1. And now I work in education, but I'm not in the classroom. During that time, I met my now husband. I got married about a year ago, and I had my daughter 4 months ago. We had our first daughter, and she is everything. So that's kind of the polished version of me. That's the clean cut and nice version. The real version that's shared around this table is that I have struggled a lot with mental health. I have been recently, about 6 years ago, diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Before that, but I've struggled with it most of my life. Before that, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety and PMS and 1,000 different things. When I got that diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, everything kind of made a lot more sense. And so from then on, I've been working a lot to curb that, and I'm sure that we'll talk about it more in future episodes. Let's talk about one of my favorite corners of the internet, West Coast Closet, a thrift and consignment shop that somehow always nails the how did they know I needed that vibe. Everything is 100% consignment, which means it's affordable, sustainable, and full of personality, kind of like your wardrobe should be. Lindsay, the owner, has an eye for finding those pieces that feel like a total score without the thrift store smell or chaotic hunting through bins. One thing I really appreciate, it's size inclusive, like actually, not just a rack with 2 stretched out sweaters in the back. There's something for everybody and every body, which shouldn't be rare, but it is. I've ordered from there more times than I'll publicly admit, and I always end up with something that fits, flatters, and makes me feel like I have my life together, even though I absolutely do not. See the dead plants behind me. Check out West Coast Closet on Instagram. That's at West Coast_closet, at West Coast_closet on Instagram. Give Lindsay a follow, fill up your cart, and when you check out, tell her At Mom's Table sent you. She has story sales. She sometimes has sales within her post. No pressure, but your closet will thank you, and so will the planet. After every hard spot in my life, I always had this dining room table to come back to. Through arguments with my family and friends, and there was always someone here to pour me a cup of coffee or maybe something stronger, cutting some cake, giving some cookies. If you can't tell, I'm an emotional eater. But this space was always a space I could come back to, and I'm hoping that this podcast can be the same if you don't have a space like that. Over the next few weeks, you'll hear from some incredible people, from family to friends to kiddos. Some of you may know some of them, and some you might feel like you know after the episode's done. These aren't interviews. They're not intended to be interviews. They're intended to be conversations. The kind of conversations that happen when the kids are in bed, or when you've just kind of had a long week and you've had enough and you just want to vent, the kind of conversations that happen in the midst of grief, which I don't know about you guys, but some of the best laughs that I've ever had have been in the midst of grief and really hard times. So that's what these conversations can bring. Before I go for our pilot episode, I do want to close with a segment that you'll hear at the end of every episode, and it is called A Seat at the Table. In each episode, guests will share a meaningful memory, something that shaped them or stuck with them over time. Since this is the first episode of just me, I'll start it off. A time where I felt like I had a seat at the table is during the pandemic, COVID-19. Ever heard of it? I graduated with my master's degree in the middle of the pandemic. It was a really rough time for me. I took a year off of working to finish my grad program. I had no money. I couldn't pay my bills. I had just kind of started my relationship with Travis, so all of the complicated emotions that come with a new relationship were there. I'm an extrovert, so I was really, really missing human connection. And my family threw a graduation ceremony that was 10 times better than anything I could ever imagine. My dad ran the ceremony, and we had a diploma, we had a videographer. Our good friends from West Virginia flew in, and it was just one of those moments where you look around and say, this is what it's all about. So that is my seat at the table moment. And hey, if you have a memory that you'd love to share for a seat at the table, send it my way. You never know, maybe it'll end up on a future episode. But thank you so much for spending your time with me. Launching this podcast has been something that I've thought about for a long time. If you liked what you heard, or if you're really excited for future episodes, or if you're just hanging around to support your girl, subscribe, comment, all the things. Until next time, thanks so much for pulling up a seat at Mom's table. We'll talk to you soon.